To welcome the representatives of the Capital Region Economic Development Council. Let's give them an applause. I am Rosanna Rosado. I'm your Secretary of State, and I have the privilege of chairing this strategic implementation assessment team. I also want to acknowledge the co-chairs, Avidan Rodriguez, who's president of the University at Albany and who has been with us since 2017. And I lit up when I saw him because Puerto Rico's a small island, so when Puerto Ricans find each other, it's a big deal. So I'm very proud of that we were able to bring him to U of Albany. And Ruth Mahoney, who is a president and regional retail leader at Key Bank, who is a new co-chair this year. So we thank you for joining us. I always welcome the opportunity to learn about the great work that is being done in a region. I like to think of Albany as like my second home now. It's kind of all of our second homes. And so we spend a lot of time there. Being recognized as a top performer 3 years in a row is no small feat. I can tell you that New York City is very jealous. We at DOS are pleased to partner with the Capital Region communities to improve access to and recreational opportunities along the waterfronts, like the recently completed riverfront esplanade in front of the city of Rensselaer. And let's see, who's our DRI there? Albany. Albany's our DRI. Okay, so we're looking forward to hearing your presentation. Let me introduce my colleagues, beginning with Commissioner Roanne Destito, who's been on the SIAT since the beginning. Commissioner Matt Driscoll, I don't know, your title changes all the time, whatever. Matt Driscoll, who's also been, and Commissioner Roberta Reedon will join us shortly. She's on a call with Commissioner Richard Ball, who will be sitting back here, and they'll join us shortly. And we also are joined by Brian Stratton, who's the Director of Canals in the New York State Canal Corporation. And with us is also Ruth Ann Wisnowskis, Commissioner of HCR. And so remember that you have 45 minutes for your presentation. And then we'll do question and answer. We have a lot of hard questions for you, so I hope you're prepared. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you. We'd like to start our presentation this afternoon with a short video.
Okay. Okay.
The Governor's Regional Economic Development process has fundamentally changed the way that we do business here as a region, and definitely here locally in the City of Albany. We really look to the REDC's strategy to determine the projects, priorities, and partners that are essential to growing our economy. The Downtown Revitalization Initiative in Clinton Square is going to catalyze an estimated $280 million of investment through a $10 million award, and that's because there's so much momentum in this small district in downtown Albany. That's going to create jobs, create new vitality, and create tons of spin-off investment that really showcases the power of the DRI in a local area. This DRI really exemplifies how the creative economy can take root in the community and amplify the results of the Regional Economic Development Council.
Since starting a business 21 years ago, I think the thing that has been most impressive to me around here is watching the growth of the Capital Region. Even though it felt at the time to me, being a 22-year-old, that the cities were really vibrant, it has exponentially grown since then. There are just cool, video game businesses and cooler restaurants and things that young professionals want. So it's exciting to see that growth happen in the area. People will visit from Albany to come to the farm, and then they'll go out in Troy, then they'll take an Uber to Schenectady. It just seems easier to get around. There's a lot more options.
One of the unique things that we're doing here at U Albany as part of the Weather Enterprise is building this test bed. And in this test bed, we're able to partner with global companies such as IBM and GE.
We're very excited about training students for this growing area of need in terms of creating students that can actually help companies in this state deal with the potential losses associated with weather variability.
So
Some of the really interesting things I've seen in teaching distilling at SUNY Schenectady is that the Capital District is really seen as a hub for the craft beverage industry as a whole, being noticed both by the people who are interested in getting involved and also at the state and local level, and the amount of support that we're getting from them is fantastic.
When we founded Albany Barn, we did so because we recognized that there was a tremendous wellspring of creative talent across disciplines here in the Capital Region. But at the same time, we were seeing a brain drain of great artists and artisans because they didn't have access to the tools they needed to be more sustainable.
There are so many really talented artists in this area who are looking for a place to share their art and people to share their art with, and that's why we are here.
We founded Albany Barn to help our creatives take their craft and turn it into a career.
This amazing award as part of the Governor's Downtown Revitalization Initiative is a huge win for the City of Albany, but also for the Capital Region.
So to live in the Capital Region now feels like you have everything you need. Here at UAlbany,
At Albany Distilling?
Here in the City of Albany, we create.
We create.
we create experiences.
We create innovation.
We create opportunity.
And can I just, before you start, I was remiss in not recognizing the mayor of Albany who's with us here, Kathy Sheehan. Thank you for being here. All yours.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Muy buenas tardes. My name is Avidan Rodriguez, and I'm the president of the University at Albany. And on behalf of the Capital Region Economic Development Council and my co-chair, Ruth Mahoney, it is truly our pleasure to be here today to present the exciting progress that we have achieved. First of all, before we begin, we'd like to thank our host, Mohawk Valley Community College, for making these wonderful facilities available for us today. We also like to acknowledge you, the Strategic Implementation Assessment Team, for the hard work that you do each and every day. So thank you very much. And finally, we'd like to recognize our SIAT Preparation Work Group for all their hard work. Co-chairs Lauren Payne of Spiral Design and Andrew Kennedy of the Center for Economic Growth, or CEG, and the rest of the work group, James Schlett from CEG, Overt Media, Michael Conlin from KeyBank, UAlbany's Alice Oldfather, Ann Luby from State Labor Department, and Heidi Pasos from ESD. We'll keep our oral presentation today targeted and to the point. Our 2018 progress report, Capital Region Creates, provides valuable, detailed information for you to review. Today, we're here to talk about the outcomes and impacts and how our work is making a difference in the region. Now, please let me introduce the panelists. We have Todd Erling, Executive Director of Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development Corporation, Michael Hickey, Executive Director of the Stack Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Siena College, Mayor of Albany, Kathy Sheehan, Matt Gratton, UAlbany's Director of Community and Economic Development, Michael Yeverly, Regional Director for Empire State Development, and finally, but certainly not least, our CRDC co-chair, Ruth Mahoney, Market President and Regional Retail Leader for KeyBank for the Capital Region. Ruth.
Thank you, Havidan. And thank you to the team at University of Albany. The university is a great resource for our council and a tremendous asset for our entire region. Under the leadership of Governor Como and through a lot of collaboration, the Capital Region Economic Development Council put in place a community-based, bottom-up approach to setting priorities for allocating scarce state resources. Over years of collaboration, conversation, and connections with individuals throughout our region, and with the ongoing support of our team from Empire State Development, we have fine-tuned our strategic plan and mapped out a course for our economic future. We have followed that plan, adapted it as needed, and seen positive results that we believe are worthy of continuing support. Our strategies, Next Tech, Gateway, Talent, Liftoff, and Metro, are the framework the Council uses to make our well-informed decisions. These strategies also align perfectly with the state's 4 pillars of economic development: innovation, tradable sectors, workforce, and placemaking. We've seen some impressive results from our work, and I'll now turn it over to Todd Erling, and he'll highlight some of these results for us. Todd?
Thank you, Ruth. Good afternoon, members of the SIAT team. Great to see you again. Much appreciated putting the time and effort into evaluating us and our efforts, and also our peers. It's really an honor to be part of 10 regions working with you across the state. First, I'd like to talk about what we've done. We've created jobs. Since 2011, the Council's investments have created or retained 28,000 jobs throughout all sectors of the Capital Region's 8 counties. We've created momentum by focusing on moving prior year projects forward. We work with our grant recipients throughout their business cycles to ensure that the projects the state has invested in progress and achieve the goals promised. As of today, 82% of our projects are on track, on schedule, or complete. We are truly moving projects through the pipeline. We've created connections by engaging the region's stakeholders through thousands of interactions, meetings, emails, workshops, tours, and much more. We've helped connect the dots between businesses, organizations, entrepreneurs, artists, institutions of higher education, community activists, and many, many others. Our outreach helps us identify opportunities and solve problems. Throughout the year, on literally a weekly basis, our members of the Council, our regional ESD staff, meet with local government leaders to make sure their plans align with regional and state priorities. And we create results. Our focus is to create comprehensive solutions throughout the Capital Region. The goal since 2011 has been to strategically grow key sectors of our economy in all communities. This was a priority of the governor, and it has been our guiding principle. The map shows you how we've exceeded. We are creating results by removing silos and collaborating as a region. Our co-chairs, Ruth and Havidan, will now tell you what the Capital Region means to all of us.
Thank you, Todd. The Capital Region creates economic growth, job opportunities for all, wide-ranging cultural assets, new ideas, and a true sense of place. And over the last 8 years, the Capital Region Council has proven to be effective and efficient in planning and implementing our regional strategies. We truly remain focused on making the Capital Region a place where companies want to invest and people want to live, work, and play.
The jobs and companies we're investing in need well-trained workers, and our community members really need good jobs. As we've already mentioned, nothing is more important to the Council than collaboration. It's really a hallmark of our success. So we're partnering with the Capital Region's excellent network of education and training providers to help build the workforce of not only today, but of tomorrow. The Council supports innovative solutions to fill skill gaps for in-demand jobs, is growing our STEM workforce, and working to replenish an aging labor force. And we're making sure we target the region's opportunity areas to grow good jobs that facilitate economic mobility. What the Capital Region creates means to all of us is opportunity for all. Nothing embodies collaboration, opportunity, and innovation more than our Innovate 518 hotspot. We'd like to take a moment to focus on this robust program and the impact it's having on our region. So I'm going to ask Matt Gratton from UAlbany and co-chair of our Workforce Development Work Group and lead of our Innovate 518 program to now take the lead.
Thank you very much, Abadan. Innovate 518 is the Capital Region's innovation hotspot, which is a NYSTAR-funded asset to help promote the entrepreneurial ecosystem throughout the Capital Region. We have a governance structure that consists with operational support from the Center for Economic Growth, Ignite U New York, and SUNY Adirondack, which gives us a presence up into the northern parts of our region. We also function with an advisory committee that consists of entrepreneurial leaders from throughout not only the Capital Region, but New York State. And we affiliate with 26 different partnering organizations. The program uses a hub and spoke model for regional communication to ensure this full network of affiliate partners is aware of what each entity is bringing to the entrepreneurial ecosystem. The entrepreneur or startup is our central core focus customer. In an industry where normally there is increased competition, we collaborate to ensure that we are keeping in mind the best method and the best partners to be able to assist those startups and make referrals to each other when necessary. The Innovate 518 program serves as a pathway for growth into the Startup New York program. This program aligns specifically with the Capital Region Economic Development Council's prioritized industry cluster of research and development to commercialization. I would now like to highlight some of our success stories, starting with one of our affiliate partners. The Troy Innovation Garage received round 5 REDC funding. This innovative project rehabilitated a completely abandoned building in downtown Troy. The Troy Innovation Garage offers co-working, incubation, and collaboration services to over 115 members and 24 different companies. Its focus is on serving the creative economy and the intersection of the technology and the arts. The success of this facility has created the parent company of Aurelius Coworks, which is also expanding and launching other projects in downtown Albany and downtown Glens Falls. I would now like to highlight some of our startup business success stories. True Weather Solutions was founded by a SUNY Oneonta EOP graduate by the name of Don Birchoff. True Weather was attracted to Albany through the University at Albany's Atmospheric Science Research Center and the creation and implementation of the New York State Mesonet. Innovate 518 provided mentoring, support, services, and branding and value proposition services to True Weather to refine their business plan. In 2016, True Weather Solutions graduated into the Startup New York program. They are presently collaborating on joint research projects with the University at Albany to provide boundary layer weather data for drone operators. And in this past year, True Weather enrolled in Central New York's Genius New York competition and placed 3rd place, receiving $400,000. So we want to thank Central New York for some of their upstate revitalization money is coming back to the Capital Region. But this truly shows the interregional collaboration that the Regional Economic Development Council process has facilitated. And in addition, True Weather Solutions just recently received their service-disabled veteran-owned business certification through attendance at last year's VetCon conference, which will be mentioned a little bit later in our presentation. Another successful startup story is Branch VFX. Branch VFX is a visual effects firm that spun off from a parent company, Shade VFX, which is an Emmy Award-winning company that won an Emmy for the television series Westworld on HBO. Shade has offices in New York City and Hollywood, but was looking for an upstate New York location to be able to control costs and do the foundational visual effects work at a lower price point. They formed in Albany in November of 2017 through a Startup New York partnership with the University at Albany. They were attracted to this region, however, by the promotion of our creative economy strategies and located in the heart of Albany's downtown revitalization district. They have created 16 net new jobs in just 11 months and are working with a variety of creative economy and nonprofit organizations to build their continued talent pipeline. An example of this is their work with YouthFX, a program that aims to empower youth through digital film and media arts in downtown Albany. We have the ability to scale our innovation economy by taking some of these startups and moving them globally. Vital Vio has commercialized pioneering LED antibacterial light technology and is selling this product globally. Vital Vio was founded by former RPI student Colleen Costello, and the firm received $1 million from the New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund that helped them continue on their commercialization journey. They have created 13 new jobs in the last 2 years. Our next success story is Jambox. Jambox is a company that has patented and produced hands-free, breath-powered musical instruments, but recently utilized that innovation to transition that to an area in the life sciences and received an NIH clinical trial grant to utilize their instruments for respiratory therapy for children with cystic fibrosis or spinal cord injuries. They are being incubated out of the Albany Medical Center's Biomedical Acceleration and Commercialization Center. This transfer of innovation into economic growth would not be possible without the support of the Regional Economic Development Council and the state of New York.
Thank you, Matt, for that great update. I'll now turn it over to my fellow council member, Mike Hickey, who will outline the Capital Region Economic Development Council and how we strive to align state and regional priorities. Mike?
Thank you, Ruth. The Capital Region has experienced growth and diversification across tradable sectors, resulting in high-value investments. Manufacturing, video game development, and food and beverage production have all seen growth. According to MZ, which is a data analytics firm, between 2011 and 2017, the Capital Region software publishing industry grew by 133% to almost just under 1,100. The Council is committed to promoting life sciences. We have taken this to the next level. Research and development is important, but as seen in the video, the Council has identified commercialization of that research and development as the focus of our regional industry cluster. We are rich in R&D assets like GE Global Research, where discoveries are transformed into products that we all use. The Health Sciences Campus of UAlbany, the site of the highest aggregation of health science entities in the region, including a dozen startups. AMRI, a pharmaceutical company started by local entrepreneurs that just sold for nearly $1 billion. Our shared focus within the state on life sciences and the commercialization of that R&D will help us maximize the potential, and the new Wadsworth Laboratory will have not only regionally, but global impacts. We will truly be able to say that discoveries made in the Capital Region will improve the health of people everywhere. Regeneron is a leading biotechnology company that invents life-transforming medicines for people with serious diseases. In September of this year, the governor announced that Regeneron will invest approximately $800 million to expand laboratory space, manufacturing capacity, and warehouse facilities in Rensselaer County. To encourage Regeneron's expansion, New York State offered the company performance-based incentives, including $70 million in Excelsior Jobs Program tax credits. Once completed, Regeneron will create 1,500 full new-time jobs, bringing their total employment number in the Capital Region to a little bit more than 3,600 employees. And it's not just in life sciences. The Capital Region continues to be a hotbed of innovation, as it has been throughout its long, storied history, from radio and television technology to transportation and energy advances, and of course, nanotechnology. Our region's top-notch universities and pioneering companies are doing world-class work in research that is being commercialized with the support of the CREDC and the state. As you heard in the video, the UAlbany Mesonet project, the state's most advanced weather detection system, is attracting startups that use the technology and data to improve the bottom line of business and government by giving them tools to prepare for extreme weather events. One example includes linking the technology to drones for weather prediction. And more recently, a company that continues to innovate and adapt, Plug Power, announced an expansion of its hydrogen fuel cell business, resulting in nearly 100 new jobs, adding to more than 300 jobs already in the capital region. As mentioned previously, a council priority is to ensure our activities address our opportunity agenda and the development of a robust and inclusive workforce development strategy. In addition to the projects shown here, projects like Albany Can Code and Upstate Partnership for Healthcare Pathways are great examples of linking our distressed communities to opportunities for employment, economic growth, and needed support services. The number of New York State certified service-disabled veteran-owned businesses in our region grew 35% year over year. Innovate 518, which Matt discussed, is one of the sponsors of VetCon. This annual conference series is dedicated to the education and professional growth of veterans. The conference drew more than 300 participants last year. This year's conference is coming up in late November. Albany County raised $500,000 in the Round 7 RDC competition, and the county is conducting an engineering study to assess the conversion of the former Ann Lee Nursing Home into a soldier-on facility for homeless vets. We know the work of supporting veterans and their families is never done. We are lucky to have so many well-intentional support groups and agencies helping our deserving veterans. Creating a sense of place and making investments in our communities is critical to our efforts to attract talent, new companies, and expanded economic activities. Often, creating successful and desirable new and redeveloped places requires partnerships between the public and the private sectors. A well-thought-out, coordinated approach leads to early results and long-lasting impacts. The Governor's Downtown Revitalization Initiative does just that. Here in the Capital Region, in just 2 years since the launch of the program, we are seeing the results and feeling the impact. Glens Falls Arts, Wellness, and Entertainment District has been a tremendous amount of activity since the Governor announced it as our first DRI community. Much of this activity is supported by the Regional Council, including the $5 million historic rehabilitation of the Park Theater, the $35 million mixed-use development at 14 Hudson, and a $2.75 million improvements to the Glens Falls Civic Center, all within the heart of downtown Glens Falls. Sudi Adirondacks Culinary Center, a focal point of the district, is up and operating and welcomed its first students this fall. The 8,000 square foot culinary center at Hudson Ave features a 100-seat restaurant called Seasoned, a teaching kitchen, 2 classrooms, and a bake shop. Glens Falls Downtown Revitalization Initiative provided $600,000 for this $1.8 million project. 2 blocks away, the South Street redevelopment project will create a year-round market and commercial culinary facilities to produce and showcase local food products. This project also includes renovations of 2 buildings, construction of a new mixed-use building, and a parking facility to accommodate residents, visitors, and shoppers. Since finalizing the DRI plan, the City and Local Development Corporation have acquired additional properties on South Street, eradicating more blight while adding to the overall redevelopment of this critical downtown street. And finally, New York State Homes and Community Renewal supported a downtown revitalization fund to assist small not-for-profits and building a facade improvements. Projects are currently being approved for this program. Now, Todd will talk about our Round 2 DRI community, Hudson.
Thanks, Mike. The City of Hudson, which was our Round 2 community selected for DRI funding, has been through the planning process, and that has resulted in 13 projects for funding in the Bridge District. Bridge stands for Build, Renew, Invent, Develop, Grow, and Empower. These were guiding principles as the community completed its planning process earlier this year. I was on the local planning committee and we had a lot of fun, but we also had to make some tough decisions. The result was a comprehensive view of development, including major infrastructure improvements through a complete streets improvements program, redevelopment of the former industrial site, which was used for CAS manufacturing in the South Bay area, mixed-use transit and development as part of that project, stabilizing the Dunn warehouse for future use in that same area. The strategy also provides workforce development infrastructure at River House and supports minority and women-owned business enterprises while fitting out a commercial kitchen and retail space for workforce training. The city's emphasis on placemaking includes winterizing Basilica Hudson, a major event center, which is repurposing a former manufacturing facility for the creative economy, surrounding that space with green space and providing multimodal transportation solutions, repurposing a historic fishing village as a city park, and renovating Promenade Hill Park, one of the most historic venues within the city of Hudson, overlooking the Hudson River, that was actually gifted by the city proprietors to the Common Council to be a park. The strategy also includes much needed mixed use, mixed income housing projects. These projects all capitalize on Hudson's waterfront location, manufacturing heritage, and utilize the craft food and beverage oriented industries that are popping up in the Hudson Valley. One of the projects I am most excited about is the establishment of a community food hub to support small startup businesses. The plan is to renovate an existing building within the DRI to create a community food hub. The hub will support small and startup businesses by including on-site retail opportunities, a shared kitchen and incubator space, and flexible event space. The hub will support aggregation and distribution of locally grown product, not only within the DRI region of the city of Hudson, but throughout Columbia County and the Hudson Valley. The facility will accommodate job training, nutrition instruction, life skill classes, and culinary training, all within the Second Ward and the target area of the DRI. And most exciting for me, recently, due to some of the planning efforts and long-term thinking that the DRI supports, we secured a USDA Local Food Promotion Program grant of $70,000 to help with the planning and implementation of that facility. The city is energized and has begun to put into place the resources needed to implement the overall DRI strategy and the community vision. Next year, the transformation will become a reality. I know my fellow panelist, Mayor Sheehan, is excited to begin their own process as the DRI Round 3 winner. While serving on the REDC DRI committee, along with committee chair Mike Hickey, we worked hard evaluating the applications and ultimately recommended Albany as the Round 3 winner. The well thought out application was clearly built from the ground up, working with the diverse communities that make up Clinton Square and the surrounding neighborhoods. Mayor, you should be proud of your team. The fun has just begun.
Thank you, Todd. And I want to thank the Regional Council and the Governor for their confidence and support. Clinton Square is an area where we have been working very closely to build that community support by building it from the ground up. And it also benefited from the fact that a year ago we completed a complete rezone of the city. So we had a site that was really ready to go and had everything in place in order for us to catalyze this $10 million. Clinton Square has a mission and is poised to be a thriving gateway district and distinctive hub that connects and catalyzes activities in downtown, in the warehouse district, and creates job opportunities in the adjoining Arbor Hill and Sheridan Hollow neighborhoods, which are both low-income neighborhoods. As you heard Sarah say in our video, the state's $10 million DRI investment is expected to support $280 million in investment within the district. This includes both market rate and affordable housing, a new 136-bed hotel, new commercial and retail space, and a much-needed investment in our thriving arts and entertainment venues. Clinton Square is the front door to our state's capital. It is the main point of entry to our city from the north, east, and west. This gateway welcomes 24,000 cars daily just from I-787, and more than 250,000 people visit the Palace Theater and Cap Rep annually. So knowing this, our foundational principles for the DRI include, first, making a great first impression by creating a true gateway, a bold statement that lets visitors know they have entered the capital of the Empire State. Second, we're tying together 5 distinct investment zones so that while we're focused on, and this DRI is focused on Clinton Square, it is really going to help to drive development in downtown, in the Warehouse District, in Arbor Hill and Sheridan Hollow and the riverfront through innovative and consistent design elements, wayfinding, and streetscape. Third, we're celebrating our arts, culture, and history. With our 2 largest theaters undergoing major transformations in historic buildings, they will not only bring more people and more nights of entertainment into the district, it's going to create unique workforce development opportunities to bolster our creative economy. Fourth, we're creating space for all. This plan has the opportunity to support not just market rate housing, but workforce housing and affordable housing. They will all be supported and are central to our vision for Clinton Square. And finally, we're focused on creating opportunities with a mix of high-tech and low barrier to entry jobs that provide a ladder to higher skill attainment by directly connecting Albany residents with local employers. So, now that we've won, we've moved on to the planning stage, and we've already started working. We've already had our preliminary meetings. We're finalizing our local planning committee. We have assigned resources. We've scheduled public meetings, and we look forward to inviting our partners in state government, including all of you, and the governor, to many groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings over the next 18 months.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. I, too, am looking forward to the local planning process and the ultimate implementation of the DRI strategy in Albany. We'd like to close out our formal presentation by highlighting our region's performance since 2011 and explaining some of the challenges we face and how we feel our Round 8 proposal will help us address those challenges. The Capital Region's job creation is reflected in our low unemployment rate last year. The region's year-over-year population growth was one of the highest in the state, and our private sector jobs are at the highest level in 18 years. Continued growth in technology, life sciences, and engineering will keep our STEM-educated workforce in the region and attract new talent and new investment as well.
However, our region still faces many challenges. Our flat labor force contributes to the region's low unemployment rate, but it also stunts our growth by making it harder for employers to fill positions. While we've seen much success in our regional cluster related to commercialization, we've also faced challenges, including layoffs at GE Global Research, Global Foundries, and SUNY Poly's CNSE campus. The region needs to continue to attract a talented workforce and to counter our aging workforce, as well as keeping our talented college graduates here by focusing on placemaking, workforce, innovation, and tradable sectors. And like much of America, our region has pockets of poverty and disinvestment. Through our anti-poverty initiatives and focus on our opportunity agenda, slowly but surely, we're hoping to reverse that trend. Through the annual consolidated funding application competition, we have a chance to maximize our opportunities that address those challenges. We do so by reaching out to communities to ensure that transformational projects are submitted through the CFA process. And this year in round 8, we are proud to say that we reviewed 209 applications, including 22 that we designated as priority projects. A total proposed state investment of $36 million leverages an additional $182 million. This $218 million in new investment will directly impact more than 3,000 jobs. Once again, our 2018 progress report, Capital Region Creates, provides many more details and valuable information about these projects and the Council's ongoing initiatives. We hope our progress report and today's presentation will give you a strong basis for your decision-making process. And as always, if you need further information, please don't hesitate to contact us. And we are prepared and happy to answer any questions that you might have for us today. And on behalf of our entire panel here today, our entire Capital Region Economic Development Council, we thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Great presentation and so much excitement about the projects to come. So we're going to start off our round with Commissioner of THCR.
Oh, you've got one here.
Yes, if this works. If not, I can just talk about it.
Yep.
Great, thank you. Thank you all for that presentation. I'm one of the newer members on this team, and I was just here last year for the first time, but it is incredibly impressive even to see year over year, in addition to sort of the cumulative conversation about the investment and the impact and the strategic focus. It's very inspiring to sit here and watch it. So I thank you for that. And I congratulate Mayor Sheen on the DRI. We have a lot of great housing projects going on right now in the city of Albany, and so it's exciting to see sort of the change and the transformation, certainly from my perspective on the housing stock, and we're happy to be there and be doing that and even more in the years to come. So congrats on that. I have sort of a how's your housing stock question. I noticed that there is a sort of a spike, which is not necessarily attributable, in the vets unemployment, which can also, I think, probably oftentimes correlate to sort of vets homelessness. And I sort of wonder if you have some thoughts about that, and if that's actually playing out in any of across the region. And also, I think as a result of all this great economic investment, it also puts pressure on workforce housing, and that means different things in different parts of the state, and how you sort of think about the workforce housing as it sort of complements all the economic investment that's going on, and sort of just general, how's the state of the housing stock going?
I can start. Yeah, I can start. Certainly, thank you. So, I think one of the challenges you have is a double-edged sword sometimes when you have global companies with global reach and they have a lot of employees, and that could be positive for the most part. Unfortunately, I think some of the things we've seen recently with some of the layoffs from GE and Global Foundries is that they have been pretty heavy from a veteran perspective, and I think so that's hurt us from that perspective. As we mentioned earlier, though, we do believe that a key to that is how we diversify, and there's a couple programs addressing that. Certainly, we have seen that we actually have veteran-owned businesses has increased by 35% in the past year, which I think is great. And I think VetCon is turned out to be a pretty good in the third year that program, and I think that's a big contributor to that as well. And there is a 91,000 square foot facility that's being put up as a project for a soldier-on facility for the homeless from that perspective. So I think from the standpoint of veterans, that's what I would say to that. Just to follow on in the housing, and then certainly someone else on the team can jump in. I think when you look back at our strategy, the overall strategy and how they were integrated, as we look at attracting talent and our metro strategies, right, there's really a balanced approach to building out our communities and the places and how we're attracting both affordable and market rate housing. And I'm not sure if anybody else wants to add to that.
Well, I can say that, I don't know if that's working, specifically within the DRI area, that's one of the things that we're really excited about. Part of that includes tax credit housing, the IDR borough homes that are being rebuilt are within the Clinton Square district. There are market rate apartments that are underway and that are proposed. And then there's also a proposal for what we would call workforce housing, right? Housing that's for people who are maybe at 80 to 110% of area median income. So we're really creating a new neighborhood in the city. We're not displacing anyone because most of these market rate projects are conversions or building from the ground up. So really looking at creating that mixed income opportunity in the DRI area. And I know that that's happening in other places like my friends in Troy and Schenectady as well.
And if I just may add a little bit more about the veterans, and as a veteran myself, I can tell you that the universities, schools, and colleges in the capital region are very much committed to educating and increasing the participation of veterans in higher education and better preparing them for the workforce. Mike mentioned in his presentation the work that Hudson Valley Community College is doing in this area. Just last year, the University at Albany, we received a $500,000 gift focused exclusively on scholarships for veterans. So I think when you look at schools and colleges and institutions of higher education throughout the capital region, there's a strong commitment to continue to educate the workforce that have served this country. And so we feel very positive about that as well.
Brian?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you very much, co-chairs and members of the Regional Council, for that great presentation. And Mayor Sheehan, my congratulations to you on an outstanding DRI win. We know that $10 million will be truly transformational for the city of Albany and the Clinton Square neighborhood as you move forward with your DRI plan. Recently, in our series of SUNY Erie Canal Bicentennial Forums, the Canal Corporation and the Department of State joined to host a forum on the impact of the DRI program on canal communities, and Albany is close enough that I'll say that it is a canal community, and that we're excited. We recently convened our forum at SUNY Oswego and focused on the DRI impact and what it's having in the canal communities of Oswego, Rome, Geneva, and Watkins Glen. And so we're happy to have you join those ranks, and we know that'll be great. I think earlier in your presentation, you noticed either in part of the city or in the capital region overall, there's a higher percentage of workers without access to a personal vehicle, and wondering if the Regional Council is working more closely with CDTA in terms of providing access to public transportation or improving public transportation for worker access.
Yes. In fact, our URI strategy included expansion to CDTA's bus rapid transit program. They currently run a bus rapid transit from Schenectady to Albany along Central Avenue. It's been very popular, reducing the amount of time it takes for people to get to and from the two cities, primarily used for people in the workforce. They have been really trying to piece together a complementary program to link what we'll call the river cities along Rensselaer and Albany County, into also downtown Albany to a hub. So we've supported that project as a regional council through a grant award for the Uncle Sam Transit Center in Troy, as well as we are looking at it for additional funding to help support them as they secure federal funds to implement the program. Very, very important, Brian. And also they're looking at the Purple Line, which I think is, I'll say that's next phase, which will link Albany, Crossgates area, again with downtown. So it's creating this hub in downtown Albany and bringing in folks from east, north, and south.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thank you for a great presentation. Very smooth, very well delivered. Appreciate that very much. You've got a special reason, a special region, I should say, for a lot of special reasons. It's a logical transportation nexus, I think. It's beautiful. And it has a very exciting marketplace. I remember many years ago, more than 25 years ago, looking at the area from a marketing standpoint for agriculture and being very excited about the marketplace that was there, and I felt like it was underserved.
And I think it still is. So I think the opportunities around food, and I know Todd, you'll agree with me, Mayor, you will too. Food is exciting. Food is where it's happening. So with that, I'm kind of thinking about your workforce a little bit. We've been talking about this all day, actually. Commissioner Reardon and I have been talking about it since we first saw each other this morning.
Since we first saw each other 3 years ago.
Yes. I think, without question, the biggest limiting factor we have to growth in agriculture, and frankly in the Capital District generally, is labor, supply of labor, skilled labor. There's lots of good things happening around in technology, lots of good things happening around the excitement of food, and it's good to hear of the efforts that you're putting into the veterans who are predisposed to working very hard in difficult conditions, and certainly that fits a lot of the things that we need to do. But I'm thinking about how we get more people in the pipeline, more young people selecting careers in the areas that are growing. We've got a great education system in New York, certainly, but it's not always a direct line to a career path that's been identified, or maybe it has not been identified, particularly in the food system, and wondering if you might speak to some of the things that you would consider in the workforce.
Yep.
I think you stumped them.
Got it.
Food. No, go ahead with food.
So as far as food goes, Richard, I appreciate the direct reflection on we all eat, and therefore there's a market built in 3 times a day. You and I have shared that. The transition opportunities, I think, for our labor market are twofold. One is to bring more individuals into it, but number 2, also take advantage of our research and development clusters with some technology solutions, especially in food safety and weather-related predictions. So I think it's going to be a marriage between old-fashioned hard work and individual people to pick up some of the gaps and fill those shoes, but then also working with the leadership that we have in the research and development clusters for some technology and having to have less individuals and be more efficient. Also, I think that makes us very competitive in a lot of the opportunities and allows us to lead not only here in our region, but also the Northeast and nationally in general. One thing that we do recognize is that we have a robust market internally, but we also sit within about a 5 to 6 hour radius of about 55 million miles. Mm-hmm. And the capital region happens to be one of the crossroads, whether it be the canal system, rail, or rubber tires on trucks. So we've really embraced that as an opportunity to say not only how do we feed ourselves, but how do we interact in the marketplace that's at our doorstep.
So, and I can just add to that, if you recall last year during the REDC process, each of the regions were asked to do surveying of our employer community to understand better and link that to the community college councils to try to identify what are, some of those particular skill gaps. And what we did is the Center for Economic Growth conducted a survey in the areas of advanced manufacturing, which could also include, and they did include some areas in food production and food packaging. And really from that survey, they have launched a Pathways initiative in partnership with both Hudson Valley Community College and Schenectady County Community College to help advance different stackable credential pathway models specifically in manufacturing arenas. And some of that is done through different mechanisms, through a certified production technician, which is an industry recognized credential through the Manufacturing Skill Standard Council. And then Hudson Valley Community College is actually running a manufacturing boot camp. And many of those programs are actually funded by our co-chair in Ruth's organization at KeyBank. And I don't know if Ruth wanted to add anything.
Yeah, thank you. I would just add that, the public-private partnership and collaboration here is really important. And we've got great opportunities on the table today to serve parts of our community where people can't get to employment for a variety of reasons. And the partnerships are really important, and I'm blessed to work for a company that believes in workforce development and trying to lift people up from their bootstraps and get them into that first employment opportunity. Pathways is an excellent example of investing in the development of our workforce to meet, the needs of our growing businesses and commercial sectors, whether it's healthcare, whether it's manufacturing. Another great example that Matt didn't mention is Albany Can Code, which is another opportunity for us to get people trained to get into technical jobs. And as a private sector employer in the capital region, and I'm sure this is true throughout other parts of the state too, it's not just the growth industries that are challenged and striving to find employees for the job. So we need to keep this priority front and center, and I believe everybody on this council is really invested in this as a priority for our region.
And I also think we need to continue to focus on the impact of institutions of higher education in the capital region to retain and to attract and provide excellent education to train the next generations of the workforce throughout the capital region. And as we think about our community colleges, our tech colleges, comprehensive and research universities, the role they play in working with local schools, K to 12, to make sure that we continue to increase the high school graduation rates and transitioning students into institutions of higher education, whether it be a community college or whether it be a Research One university, it's critically important for us as the capital region. And I'd just like to highlight that back in 2016, Forbes named Albany one of the top up-and-coming cities for recent college graduates, and Albany also got named as a top 10 best cities for recent college graduates, and that spills out throughout the capital region. So clearly we're developing an economy and we're providing an education that's really attractive to continue to build and sustain the economic growth and the economic vitality of the capital region.
That was set up right for you.
Yep, thank you. Excellent, and it's not on. Let's see.
Don't worry about it. They can hear you.
They can hear me. Wow, you can hear me.
We can hear you.
This prop is going back. No, it was a great presentation, and clearly you've done a tremendous amount of work across the region. It's not just in Albany, which I really appreciate. I'm going to build on Richard's question about workforce. It's striking that you have, as you just said, you have apprenticeships, you have boot camps, you have curriculum that you've developed specifically for kinds of industries, and yet 16 to 24-year-olds are the one sector of the one age group that's not growing. And I'm just curious, is that, are there just not jobs available for that age group, or is there some other reason why that's an age group that is actually more unemployed than other people? I mean, that's typical across the state, but it's significant in the capital region.
Well, in looking at the, I don't think this is on, in looking at the numbers, if you look from 2011, we actually had some of the strongest growth in that age group, and in 2016, we saw a slight downtick of the percentage of 16 to 24-year-olds who are participating in the workforce. We certainly, as Ruth alluded to and Javidan, we've had some challenges in the region, and one of those challenges has been a pretty significant decline in retail jobs, which tends to be an employer of those 16 to 24-year-olds. But I think when we look at the numbers for 2017 and 2018, I know the city of Albany, we had the highest participation ever in our summer youth employment program. We have a lot of employers that are stepping up and looking down into that younger group for employment. And then on the flip side of it, we're doing a better job of educating our kids. And so we have more kids that are graduating from high school. Albany still lags, but I know Troy and Schenectady have seen tremendous gains in their high school graduation rates, which is leading to more kids then continuing their education and college goingness. And so part of it is that I think there's a percentage of those young people who are remaining and are mainly participating in continuing their education, and so not necessarily entering the workforce. But we are really focused. The 16 to 24-year-old is a priority for the anti-poverty money, the ESPRI money that the City of Albany received and that the City of Troy received, and so I think we're the only two ESPRI cities in the region. But that's really what we're focusing on that age group as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It was very helpful, and thanks for your good work over the years. Capital Region's done a great job in that area. One of the areas that I'm always interested in is the public participation piece, because as you all know, this is a process that was created to drive ideas from the bottom up in terms of engagement with the community, public, and stakeholders as well. So I've read through your plan, and on your work groups, I know that you've reconstituted some of those. You've held, I think, 33 workshops and seminars throughout the regions, although I'm not certain where. So my question is, because it appears while you have a priority project in each of your 8 counties, that the bulk of those are in the Tri-City area. So I'm curious, is that because more rural areas are either less engaged or they don't have the infrastructure and apparatus, to kind of ignite applications and projects? Or what do you think that is? What drives that?
Well, I do think it's a concentration and volume that you're going to see in the Tri-City areas for sure. That's going to drive a lot of the project activity. I think if you looked, and again, the priority projects are ESD projects. If you look at other agencies, you're going to see a much broader distribution of CFA applications throughout the 8 counties. So, where we always point to as staff, how do we get more projects out of Washington County? But when you blend in all of the other agency work, there's quite a bit that does go on throughout all of the 8 counties. So I do think a core of the economic activities is going to be in what I'll call the 4 counties areas of Saratoga, Schenectady, Rensselaer, and Albany. We're surrounded by two groups of communities that are primarily agricultural and mountainous in their geography. So I think if you follow the geography, it does tend to show a concentration in those areas.
And I would just add that one of the things that was important to Havidan and I when we became co-chairs was to take a look at the infrastructure of the council, if you like, to make sure that we were aligned with all of the necessary strategies and initiatives that aligned with the state and government perspectives that we needed to be focused on. And we tried really hard to make sure that our committees were made up of people from all across the area, including the 8 counties, and that we had representation from all of those counties. So we didn't leave any ideas off the table, if you like. Now, is that a perfect science? We probably didn't get everybody that we should, but we're working hard on it with the intention that we want to be as diverse in our thinking as we possibly can.
Matt, I would just add that as year 8 here, we have seen ebbs and flows as well.
Normal.
Yeah, and as someone that represents a lot of the rural areas, and especially the Washington to Columbia, bookending of it, we do see the communities becoming more and more savvy on the buckets that are available and the projects they have and the alignment that occurs so that they're efficient with their resources and their CFA applications in those more rural communities. So I think Mike's comment about the interagency interaction and the community starting to understand what programs fit and what programs don't and not misfiring. I think we've had a much more efficient process over time, and that might reflect some of it as well, where they really know how to target the program and the staff that's appropriate for their community and their project.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate Mayor Sheehan on the DRI award, and I feel like I'm part of it because we are part of that neighborhood with our Sheridan Hollow plant and many of our parking facilities, and we pledge to you that we'll be good partners with you as OGS, since we own and operate some infrastructure in that area. So we do feel like Albany and the Capital District is our home away from home, all of us, because we are there. And I've always had a great relationship with the mayor from the beginning, from when she started and from when I started, so I thank you. And I'm very proud to see that that neighborhood is getting the attention that it deserves. So that's just a statement. But getting back to the young adult workforce, or the workforce without a high school degree, I am, as OGS, a major employer in the Albany, especially the Albany, city of Albany area. And I want to just ask you, one of you, to expound upon, because we're always looking for the tradespeople, whether it be, metal fabrication, HVAC, refrigeration, some of the skills. We're always looking for those. And there was a statement in your presentation, your larger book, about the Capital Region BOCES Career and Technical School, really focusing on those programs, because we find that, especially in the Capital District, it becomes increasingly more difficult to find those people, and that those jobs do, in fact, go without candidates. So can anyone expound? I know, college education, you do an excellent job, but I think the career and technical schools, especially the trades, we use a lot of the, we go to, the labor temple for a lot of candidates for work. We're probably one of their biggest customers. But we would love to see if we could, hire some young people. And we do, as the mayor knows, an Albany High School program where we do an internship program where I take in 12 to 15 students every year into an internship program at OGS. So we're looking to make sure that they get direction and training. We try to do it. We try to work them into the civil service system if they're interested, but the training is what they need to qualify for, the civil service exams and all of the programs that we have.
So I'll start to address that from a high level, and then I think I'll let one of my colleagues sort of drill down on some of the specific things around apprenticeship programs and so forth. But I think one of the things that I would point out is how important that URI strategy was for us. So as I was actually the co-chair of that URI committee when we put it forward, and once you get over the disappointment that we didn't win, we actually did win, right? Because what came out of that was a really integrative, cohesive strategy that we're seeing now, right? So 3 years later, we're seeing how these pieces work together, right? They're not mutually exclusive. They really are integrated and work together effectively. And I think, so I'll just review some of those from a high level so you can see that, and then we can drill down specifically. So one of our strategies was certainly around our gateway strategy. We talked about, we have our ports, we have the rails, we have the roads, and we have access to, much of the whole northeast and eastern coast through here within 1 day's drive. We've certainly got things, we've grew that by 2,300 jobs, 8% since 2011. Certainly the Port of Albany expansion was part of that. Our cluster focus on commercialization, we've added 1,300 jobs on the production side, which has taken that R&D stuff to actually turning things into products and commercializing them. We have our liftoff strategy, and that's really, as we start to focus on some of the niche areas and clusters within there, our agricultural is up actually 11%, 170 or so people since that time frame. And we're also seeing following our creative economy thing, that's up about 110. And then the last part of that is the metro strategy, right? So you have to attract talent. You have to think about places where people are going to live and work and play and so forth. And those coming together, I think, not only on those the talent you're trying to get maybe in the STEM side, but recognizing how we can have things like BOCES and some of those other programs, apprenticeships, things working together to bring that talent into our metro strategies as well. And so I don't know if someone wants to drill down a little bit.
So Commissioner DeStito, to specifically hone in on the question as it relates to the trades, one of the things that we have been doing fairly strategically in the capital region is more of a focus on something that's being done nationally. And it's actually in this month, October 5th, each year is National Manufacturing Day. And what we've done in some of our communities is actually put full day or full week of programming around Manufacturing Day and Manufacturing Week. So this year, for example, at Mahonison, at their new Center for Advanced Technology, which was an REDC-funded project, the Capital Region BOCES P-TECH program had all of their students there to experience a variety of different panel presentations and discussions around the opportunities that exist within the manufacturing and trades sectors. And what we did is specifically also invited parents, because I think that's the key area that we need to focus on. In many instances, it's mom and dad, if there is one, but it is mom and dad who are maybe trying to dissuade away from that type of career, saying it's the old 3D, dark, dirty, and dangerous, which it isn't anymore. And so what we try to do is shine the light. And when we see those students and they understand what the trades and the manufacturing career opportunities are, you see the light go on in their head. So I think we need to do more of that. We're trying to think of ways that we can scale those types of things to promote the trades and manufacturing careers.
Well, I hope so, because I do, with the Albany High School program, we do a program where we invite them when they've been selected. We invite their family, and they do come. Yep. And I can tell you that the parents are very much involved and very much supportive of their students. So I think that's been very successful for us. So I just share that with you, that we have a very successful program.
Well, and so as you know, the Albany City School District is not a BOCES district, and the new superintendent is really taking a hard look at that. But I'm also pleased to say that in the South End Campus Center, of which an REDC project helped us to get the Attain Lab there, BOCES is going to be operating that facility now.
Well, we work through the Attain Lab, too.
Yeah, so, but BOCES is now going to run the whole building, which means that they're going to be tying people into their workforce development, trades, opportunities and courses that are offered through BOCES. So we're really trying to bring that into that building. Really focuses on individuals who live in Albany Housing Authority housing throughout the city. It's not just for the South End. We're really focused on an underserved, but I think great potential workforce in the capital region.
And we appreciate, because the school superintendent comes, the principal comes, very supportive, and I think the students see the support they're getting. So thank you.
I want to add my voice also to the congrats to Albany, the DRI. I have no favorites, but I think that I think that Albany, because so many of us live there part-time, that Albany presents a unique opportunity within the DRI, cities, to show you have diversity at all levels, right? Cross-economic, racial, all of it. And so that truly, if we can make it work in Albany, it's something we can, replicate across the state. So I have a lot of hope, and I also hope that the fact that so many of us almost live in Albany should be helpful, and it should be helpful. And so the people who are at this table, at least, please feel free to use us in that way. It's also great if you're in the Capitol building to say to someone, let me show you how this works. We can just walk over or ride over. So it's just, for me, I think the perfect location to have a showcase of DRI. And with that, I congratulate you for the accomplishments of the total region, and thank you for your presentation today. Yes. And good luck.
Thank you.
Yes, we did. Good job.